You should take it up. Over to Ritu.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. And I'd like to thank Dr. Grewal for inviting me for his very prestigious IC. So I'll be talking about selecting the right PHACO machine. And as we know that since the time PHACO was first introduced in the 1960s, the technology has really matured, made huge advances, and has made our cataract surgery extremely fast, safe, and has given us really good results. In fact, that's what we are looking for, is that with our PHACO, we should be able to give a wow factor to our patients. So we do have a plethora of options available to us. Different companies have different levels of PHACOs available, and at times it can be quite confusing because we have so much of choice. So we need to understand which are the features which are essential in our PHACO machine, which are desirable, and which may be, not really so essential. And how do we get the best from our machine? Most of us tend to go for the machine which we have used during our training period. But as technology keeps changing, we have to update ourselves and know what's available. So we need to look before we leap. And the PHACO is always going to be, for a newcomer, it's going to be the heart or the core of your practice. It's going to be where you get most of your economics to expand your practice. So we have to look for what is best. Now, you need to define firstly your budget. So that Dr. Grewal has already spoken about. You need to know, do you have the budget to go for a brand new machine? Would you like to go for a refurbished machine? What are the options? Do you want to do a down payment where you get a nice discount? Or do you want to go for an EMI? Or do you want to go for IOL bundling? So this is something that you need to decide, and according to your budget, you can look for what is best available. So you need to know what is efficient, what are the different PHACO parameters, modulations which are available in new features which are available, which make the machine more efficient and make it much safer, so that your complications are much less, you get clear corneas on your day one. And at the most important is that you should have a tension-free time. That means you should have a good backup, you should have a good annual maintenance contract or a CMC available, so that if there is any breakdown, that can be taken care of. And during your training period, they give you the complete support, which is very essential for a novice surgeon. So what are the choices? The choices is that you could, everyone desires the best, you could go for a fully loaded luxury and top of the model machine if you can afford it in the beginning of your practice, or if you're planning to upgrade and you want to go for the best. Or you can go for a workhorse which has all the essential features, gives you a good enough support, and at the same time does not burn a hole in your pocket. So what are the aspects that you need to look at? First is the kind of pump. You need to look what type of pump are available in the different machines. The Fluidics system, the chamber stability software and surge control, which is going to add safety to your surgery. What are the PHACO handpiece options available, the PHACO powered modulations, the designs of the tip, what is the ease of use, whether it comes with a display, whether the foot pedal is wireless, and the ergonomics, how does it fit into your OT system, and the add-ons. Does it have anterior vitrectomy, does it come with a posterior vitrectomy, certain other features which can be useful, and what are the economics and service, and can it be a modular system which you can upgrade as you go on in practice. So vacuum, as we know now, we have moved our PHACO technique has moved from a PHACO-based surgery more to a vacuum-based surgery. So we need to look at machines which can give us a higher vacuum without causing surge. So you have either the Venturi-based systems or you have the peristaltic-based systems. And the peristaltic pump is usually a safer option. Majority of the machines are based on this. And most of the higher end machines have evolved more close to a Venturi system where the rise time is very rapid And here the vacuum, as we know, builds up only on occlusion, so it's much safer. Some of the machines which have a peristaltic pump are the Alcon platforms, the Sovereign, Nidec, APA. So we can, you have time now when you're here at the conference, if you're planning to upgrade, you must go to each of the manufacturers and understand in depth what are the options available. So the VENTURI pump is much faster. Here the vacuum, as we know, is produced by a compressed air or gas, and the vacuum is instantaneous. So though the surgery is faster, there's always a greater risk of having an inadvertent catching the iris or the PC. And some of the machines, the Stellaris, the Visalis 500 and Constellation are the VENTURI-based systems that are available. Now we also have the dual pump technology where you have benefits of both the peristaltic and VENTURI pumps, and you can switch between the two. And the AMO Signature Pro has this option available between peristaltic and VENTURI, so you can use the best of it. The Fluidics system is again something that we need to look into, because optimal fluidic is what is very critical. We have a small space in which we are working, and the balance on the inflow and outflow is what prevents the complication, maintains the chamber stability. And different machines have revolutionized the PHACO fluidics and have made the procedure much more safe. Now the major change which has happened over the last few years is that earlier the inflow or the irrigation was always gravity driven and dependent on your bottle height, the tubing and the bore of the PHACO needle. So we often had to use an air pump to pressurize your irrigation. But now you have the pressurized inflow which is available, where you can, you have the BSS bag which gets compressed, and you can have a target IOP, and thus you can have a much more stable anterior chamber. The outflow, as we know, depends on the aspiration flow rate and the incision leakage. So this, the inflow and outflow, if it is well maintained, then your surgery is going to be safe. Now the chamber stability and surge control. Surge, as we know, happens when there is a breakage of occlusion, and that leads to a sudden shallowing of the anterior chamber and can lead to a PC rent, or it can lead to the loss of endothelium. So various machines have different built-in mechanisms which we can check out, we should understand, because normally the manufacturers don't really tell you much about how it works. So the change in the pump speed, the change in the vacuum rise time, or the aspiration flow rate at the time of occlusion are some of the ways in which surge can be controlled. And you also do have venting and low compliant tubing and the aspiration bypass system. So understand what is the surge control mechanism in your machine. Now, some of the machines like the Centurion have the active fluidics. As I told you, you have the pressurized BSS. You have special valves which help to prevent the change in volume of the fluid. The AMO Signature has the fusion fluidics where you have the peristaltic and VENTURI system. And the Stellaris platform, they have the adaptic fluids. So different machines have different features which we need to understand. Then coming to the handpiece, which is actually the heart. As we know, PHACO is basically a reverse piezoelectric phenomenon, and the frequency is machine-based. Each machine has a fixed frequency, which can vary from 28 to 60 kilohertz. The lower the frequency, the lesser is the heat generation. The higher the frequency, better is the cutting power, but the downside is that more heat is generated. The PHACO power can be varied, which is depending on the stroke length. And you also have different options. Earlier it was only longitudinal ultrasound that was being used, but now the later machines have torsional ultrasound and transversal, and this helps to reduce the effective PHACO time. You also have different power modulations available in different machines, and that helps to give you clearer corneas the next day. So I'm not going to go into these individual ones, but basically you need to see the advantages and disadvantages of torsional ultrasound, hyperpulse, burst mode, pulse mode, understand what are the different parameters, and using these PHACO modulations, you can get a better effective surgery. You can reduce your PHACO time, you can reduce your PHACO power that is being used, and it also helps to have thermal dissipation, because you have a rest time between the PHACO pulses. You also have advanced power modulation molds where you have a variable duty cycle, you have a variable rise time, you can have a occlusion mode which helps to avoid surge. And then coming to the PHACO tip design, again you have a large variety of options which are available to us. And depending on the grade of cataract or depending on the kind of technology that technique you use, whether it's a sculpting technique or whether it's a PHACO chop technique, you can choose the design according to that. So it's a good option to make a sort of spreadsheet, see the different PHACO machines which are available, what are the features which are important to you, and make a good comparison. And so before you take the leap, make sure that you take a demo, you try it on different types and grades of cataract, talk to your peers, get a feedback, be clear on the CMC, AMCs and what are the recurring costs, whether the tubes are disposable and you'll have a recurring cost for the cassette. See the IOL bundling options, what are the pros and cons, and whether the machine a few years on can be upgradable. So in the end, it's actually the man which is more important than the machine, and the surgery success depends upon you. So whichever machine you have, try to get the best out of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much,